There's a question that every parent carries in silence. They don't always say it out loud, but it lives in the back of every homework session, every parent teacher conference, every moment they watch their child struggle with something other kids seem to have already figured out. Is my child behind? I want to answer that question. But more importantly, I want to reframe it because behind is a comparison, and comparisons is not where progress is built. I'm Jacquie Langworthy, and this is Raising Scholars. Welcome back to Raising Scholars. I'm Jacquie Langworthy, educator, Learning Center owner, and a mom who has raised two confident, independent scholars. Back to school season is almost here. And for many families, this time of year brings a kind of quiet reckoning. The summer is ending, the new grade is starting, and the question that has been sitting in the back of a parent's mind all summer starts to get louder. Is my child ready? Are they where they should be? And if they're not, what do I do? I hear that all the time from parents who come into my center. This episode is for every parent who is carrying that question. And I'm going to tell you what I've seen work from 15 years in my learning center and from one student I will never forget. Let me start with the word itself, behind. Behind compared to what? To the grade level standard, to a sibling, to their classmate, to where you were at their age? Behind is always a comparison, and comparisons tell us very little about what a child actually needs. What's more useful is this question: where is the gap? And what does the path moving forward look like from exactly where this child is standing right now? That's not semantics. That is a fundamentally different starting point. One produces shame, the other produces a plan. Here is what research tells us. Children who are labeled as behind early in their academic careers are more likely to internalize that label as an identity. The child who is told they are behind often becomes the child who believes they can't catch up before anyone has actually tried. The gap in your child's learning is real, but it's not a verdict. It's just a starting point. Behind is a comparison. Catching up is a direction. And direction is always more powerful than comparison. So before we talk about catching up, let's talk about how gaps form in the first place. Because most parents think it happened suddenly. It didn't. Learning builds vertically, especially in math. Every concept is built on the one before it. When a foundation piece is shaky, and often that shakiness is quiet, invisible, not dramatic enough to raise a flag, everything stacked on top of it becomes harder and harder than it should be. I see this in my center constantly. A family will come in and ask for algebra help, and I'll assess the student, and the real gap isn't algebra. Most of the times it started back in third grade or fourth grade. A concept that didn't fully solidify, that got covered up by the next unit, that child learned to work around and find workarounds until those workarounds stop working. This is not failure of the child, and it's not failure of the parent. It's exactly what learning gaps do. They hide and they compound quietly over time. I want you to take from this. If your child is struggling right now, the work to be done is probably not at their level where they're struggling. It's typically a few levels back, and that's okay. It's actually where the real progress begins. The gap isn't where the work starts, it's where the discovery starts. I want to tell you about my first student. He came into my center in the third grade. Basic math facts, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, they all were a struggle. He had great parents, structured, present, committed. They made sure he did his work every single day without fail. And we worked. We did the work consistently. But here is what I kept noticing. He would get it and then he would lose it. We'd move forward with something and then something would slip. The gap was closing, but as he got older, the grade level demands were growing and growing. There were moments where it felt like we were running to stand still. Something told me that this wasn't just a learning gap. Something felt different about how he was processing things. So I sat with his parents and I told them honestly, based upon what I was seeing, I think there's something worth exploring with his pediatrician. I think he needs to be properly assessed. So they took him to the doctor and they followed through and had him assessed. And after proper testing, they found out that he had executive functioning disorder, which explains so much about why information would come in and then slip back out before it had a chance to solidify. But here is what's also true. The work we have been doing in my center was actually one of the most beneficial things he could have been doing. The daily repetition, the mastery based progression, the build of automatic recall was doing exactly what his brain needed. The facts were being stored in long term memory through sheer consistent repetition, even when it didn't feel like it was working. It was working. This family stayed with me for over a decade. Even his little sister joined our program. And I watched something remarkable happen slowly over time. Not quickly, not dramatically, slowly. This year, I was invited to his college graduation party. He's graduating with a degree in computer science. He didn't have an easy path. School did not come naturally for him in the way it does for other students, but the foundational pieces were there. The work that we did was there. The evidence of effort accumulated over years, and that evidence became belief. That belief became confidence, and that confidence carried him all the way to his college degree. This is what catching up actually looks like. Not a miracle, not a shortcut, a direction held consistently over time. The gap in your child's learning is not the whole story. It's just the starting point for the next chapter. So what do you do if you believe your child has a gap? 4 steps. 1, find the actual starting point. Not where the curriculum says they should be, but where they actually are. A learning center, a trusted tutor, or a conversation with their teacher can help you identify where the gap begins. That's your starting line. 2, build in daily practice, short and consistent. 10 minutes every day is more powerful than an hour over the weekend. The brain consolidates through repetition over time, not through marathon sessions. Consistency is the tool. 3, celebrate small wins visibly. When your child masters something they couldn't do last week, name it. Show them the evidence of their own progress. That evidence is what builds belief. 4, if something feels different, seek an assessment. Trust your gut. If your child's working hard and the effort is not translating, get them assessed, not with a label, as information. Information is where the right support begins. I want to ask you something. What are you carrying quietly about your child's learning right now? Not what you've told the teacher, not what you've said to your partner, what you think about at 11 o'clock at night when everything else is quiet. That thing you're carrying, it does not have to be a secret. It can be the starting point. The parents who help their children catch up are not the ones who had it all figured out from the beginning. Trust me, I know. They're the ones who stop waiting and start moving. Before I let you go, 3 things. 1, follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. New episodes every week, all season long. 2, download the free Raise Scholar Framework Guide at raisingscholarsPodcast.com. The E pillar, evidence builds confidence, is exactly what we're building when we help a child catch up without shame. Full guide, practical actions, completely free. 3, share this episode with a parent who's quietly carrying the "Is my child behind?" question. Tell them, start here. This episode is a beginning. Here's what I want you to hold on to as this school year begins. Your child is not their gap. Your child is not their grade level. Your child is not the label that anyone, including you, may have placed on them. Your child is a learner at a specific point in their learning with a specific set of next steps in front of them. And the parent who walks alongside of them calmly, consistently, without shame, is the greatest advantage any child can have. It's never too late to close a gap. You just have to know where to start. I'm Jacquie Langworthy. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next week.